Right then, this video is about the absolute classic 60s architecture, which is of course streets in the sky. These buildings are so awesome, it is like a design classic. When you think of 60s buildings, you often think of big, epic, grotty, concrete buildings, but streets in the sky takes this even further. These buildings have high-level walkways linking up the different buildings. It is like a maze of high-level passages. So awesome, so fun to explore. Just a great design of architecture. Very, very well designed. It's like such an awesome design classic. Because when you go between these buildings, you don't like walk along ground level like you do in a lot of buildings. You actually walk along these high-level passages. It is a maze of high-level walkways. So awesome. But sadly, a lot of these buildings are now being pulled down because a lot of people don't like them. There's many reasons for this. These buildings have got very grotty over the years, but who cares? It's like design classic. You can't just pull them down. These buildings should be listed. Anyway, in this video, we're taking a look at London's classic streets in the sky estate, which is of course Thamesmead. So then, walking into Thamesmead, and the first classic 60s thing we see is this awesome concrete bridge. 60s classic. So walk across this bridge to the estate, and here it is, streets in the sky. Well, is that it? Just a small little bit? And if we look to the left, it's been pulled down! I don't believe it! It should be listed! It should... Oh! But anyway, this is only one little bit of the estate. This is the northwestern part of the estate, but I hope so the rest of the estate don't look that good, as a lot of people dislike this design of building, which is a real shame. So then, in this video, let's look around Thamesmead and enjoy the awesome 60s streets in the sky architecture before it all goes. So then, if we walk down here and look over this part of the estate, here is some classic streets in the sky architecture with high level passages, and it goes on for a long way. It is literally like a maze. But before we take a look at this awesome part of the estate, let's go along to the middle of the estate where the old 60s buildings have been pulled down. This is actually the centre of the estate, and there used to be some shops here. Out of all the parts to pull down, they pulled down the part with the shops, which is just ridiculous. And if we look over here, we can see a sad little remaining bit waiting to be pulled down. What a shame. If we look over to the right, we can take a look at the new buildings which have replaced the classic 60s buildings. And look at that! That is completely boring! There's nothing inspiring about this. It's just a new building. There's nothing interesting. They've not done anything to this building to make it nice. No, it's just another bog standard building. Say, pull down streets in the sky classic just for this crap. Disgusting. So then, if we take a look inside one of these buildings, and along we go to the lift. What sort of lift do you think this will have? It's a stupid stanner!
Doors closing. Lift going up.
So then, let's now open up this lift and see if I can surf it. And here is on top of the lift. So then, put the lift into inspection mode. And how do we turn on the light? Well, we can't. Now that's an interesting thing to stop unauthorised lift surfing, is they now make it almost impossible to be able to turn on the lights, which is an interesting way, and it doesn't go outside of specification, unlike the Otis Gen 2, because the Otis Gen 2 has unauthorised lift surfing protection where the lift shuts down, which is going outside of specification. And although Otis will tell you it's really safe for a lift shut down to stop unauthorised lift surfing, the fact that it's going outside of how a lift should work means it's doing something unexpected, which is not safe. What Stan is doing, and what EcoDisc does, is not going outside of spec. The inspection controls are completely working, just like normal, it's just you can't see, which is a way of stopping unauthorised lift surfing without going outside specification, which is quite interesting but very annoying for me. So then, if we now go outside of this ugly, horrible modern building and go along to one of the 60s towers, and this 60s tower is right in the middle of the estate, the bit of the estate which is being all modernised and made yucky, and this is a modernised tower. Didn't look like it originally it would have been unpainted concrete. So we go inside of this tower and along to the lift. It's a bit of a shame really, this tower's all a bit modernised and yucky and disappointing. Oh dear, so into the lift we go. And it's just bog standard modernised tower block lift really. It was originally an express lift, now it just looks a bit bog standard. Nothing really interesting about this lift at all now. Very disappointing. So then, we're now up on the top floor, except this is not actually the topmost floor. As if quite a lot of 60s towers, the lifts do not serve the topmost floor. And you thought since they've modernised the lifts, they would have extended them up there. But they haven't. And if you look at the topmost floor, this is what it looks like. No lifts. Very odd. So then, back to the lifts, and these lifts have drop key doors, despite the fact these lifts have been pretty much replaced. But they don't count as a replacement, they count as a modernisation, because everything's being replaced apart from the chassis, meaning I can get away with saying it's a modernisation, so I don't have to conform to modern day standards, meaning I've got away with the new doors being drop key, when all new lifts should have triangle key doors. So then, can I surf these lifts? Well, I've had a few problems with my drop key. There's a lot of the dropping bits not quite long enough to latch your doors, or one person suggested I should remove the bits on the side of the drop key and limit how far in the drop key can go. If anyone knows how I can surf these lifts, please tell me, because because I just can't open the doors of these lifts. Very annoying. And now down to the ground floor we go, and let's now put these lifts into fire mode.
Doors closing. Doors opening. Third floor. Ground floor. Doors opening. Doors opening.
And now coming out of this horrible modernised tower, and along we go to the lake, where there is a lot of wildlife, such as heron, and coot on a nest, and baby coot. And now, along we go to the northern row of towers, and this set of 60 towers is very nice. They're really nice original towers, and what's really nice about them is the windows have not been replaced with horrible UPVC. Very nice that these windows look really original looking. Very awesome set of 60 towers, although the towers themselves are not really that uncommon. But what's very nice about this area is the whole area around the towers looks very 60s. Really awesome. Just look at this. This looks so nice and glossy and 60s. Yes! I really like a 60s feel to the whole place. Very awesome. And along we go to this part where there is this slope. All we have to do is add a slide to this slope, and they could turn it into a play area. Then all we have to do is like run up the slope and run down again. Whee! And this area is just so 60s. And if we take a look at one of these towers, inside the lift has been modernised. What a disappointment. And can I get into these towers? Nope, I can't, because on the outside of all of these towers there is a fireman switch which takes drop key, except too many people found this out. Too many people have gone on eBay and bought a drop key to get into these towers, and because of this these fireman switches have now been disabled. Very disappointing. So now we go along to the smaller buildings in this northern part of the estate. These buildings look very nice and 60s. These are like smaller versions of the Streets in the Sky buildings, which we'll look at later. But although these buildings look really nice and 60s, they're not really that tall or particularly interesting. So rather than spending more time in this area, let's now move on to the next part of the estate, which is the middle row of towers. And this row of towers looks very awesome. This whole area is so 60s looking. It'd be such a shame if this part just got all removed and made to look modern. That'd be awful. But just a load of modern buildings. Oh, that'd be no different to anywhere else. All of these 60s buildings and this epic 60s feel to this estate is so awesome. How could anyone want to get rid of this and make it look modern? That's just awful. So then, looking around this 60s part of the estate, so then along we go to these towers, and a while ago when I did a lift tour here, one of these towers still had an original express lift. Well, the lift had original express buttons. I don't know if these were original buttons, because these lifts took a lot of abuse. These might be later express buttons from the 80s, I'm not entirely sure, because they're like the vandal resistant second generation style buttons, which were actually used in third generation. So I'm not sure if they were exactly original buttons, but it's still really nice to see some express style lifts. I looked at every single one of these towers, and I could not see these lifts at all. So sadly, it must have gone. Very disappointing. Whichever tower it was that still had the original lifts, now been modernised. Very disappointing. And now, we now go over to the eastern side of the estate and to the awesome 1960s classic, the Streets in the Sky. Now, this is so awesome. It's like high-level walkways. It's going everywhere. It's just so awesome. Just look at this architecture. There's like concrete passages just going all over the place. This is the design that's gone into this building. It's just amazing. Although this eastern section of Streets in the Sky isn't quite as awesome as the western side, because this eastern side, the passages are a bit more straight and they're not quite as maze-like. But nevertheless, they are still completely awesome. It's like a design classic. Just look at this architecture. You just don't get anything else like it. They better not be wanting to pull this down. This should be listed. This is just such awesome design. This is so unusual. But can I walk around it? Well, the answer is no, because they've put up loads of entry doors, and you can see loads of entry doors. Now, this building was built definitely did not have entry doors in mind, because of the layout of the passages going everywhere. There's so many ways into this. There's not just like one or two ways in. There's like millions of ways in, and the amount of doors they've had to put in to secure this is just thousands. The amount of money involved in securing this, because they have to put doors everywhere, because there's so many different passages, so many different ways in. It's just amazing that they've done this, but nevertheless they've put in all of these entry doors, and I can't walk around. But can I get in with drop key, since there's a fireman's drop key? Nope, I can't. It's been disabled. Like like all the other ones. And even though if I did get past one set of doors, there's another set not actually that far up the passage. It's amazing how many of these doors they put in. Even though I couldn't get around this bit, although I could if I came before 10 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, it was still very nice getting some pictures here, because you can get some real good pictures of this architecture. And if we go down to the south end of the estate, we can go along to the railway. We're doing loads of works on the railway to make way for Crossrail. And now going along to the east end of the estate, and this is over the far eastern end where some smaller 60s buildings. These look very nice 60s style buildings, but not quite as awesome because they're all a bit small and not so interesting. So now we go along to the eastern end row of towers. Now this is actually a diagonal row of towers. It's slightly different information to the other two rows of towers, but we've still got these really nice, awesome big towers. These are very similar to all of the other towers, very awesome looking. And can I get into any of them? Well, yes I did, because just as someone was coming out, I sneaked in through the door. And here are the lifts, which have been modernised. Oh, very annoyingly, I did not find any original lifts anywhere in this estate. Very disappointing. And that's pretty much the end of this video. Make sure you stay tuned to my next video on this estate, where I'll be exploring the completely awesome western side streets in the sky. Now that really is an amazing bit of architecture, so stay tuned. And as for now, enjoy these lifts. Well, that's, I can't really enjoy them, can you? They're stupid generics.
This left is going up. Doors closing. This left is going up. Going down. This lift is going down. Doors closing. This lift is going down. Floor 7. Doors opening.